All right, folks, welcome back. All right, so it is 12:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast of the United States on February 28th, 2022. This is my last video for February 2022, and I will not put another video up in the mentorship forum or on the server until April 1st, 2022. So this entire month, until we get to that day right there, okay, this is the next time that I'm going to upload a video. Please do not send me emails panicking, okay? Do not send me text messages, okay? Don't freak out. I've mentioned I was going to be taking this entire month off. I'm extremely excited to be able to rest and have time with my family. My wife and children have been basically asking me to do this, and they were pretty much upset when I said I was going to do the 2021 group that came in the last one. And I said, I promise you, as soon as I get through and get to the month of March of 2022, I'm going to tell you all, as my students, that I'm taking the entire month off. I will not be answering emails. I will not be posting in the forum. I will occasionally post on my YouTube community tab things that I just want to share. It may not be anything important, just as a reminder that everything's fine. But if there's something that comes up that I think you all need to know, I'll also post that there as well. Okay. But again, I just want to make sure that you all understand that I'm coming back on the 1st of April. Okay. I'm going to be coming back with a lot more energy, a lot more focus, and we'll be able to be a much stronger community inside the forum. So take this entire month of March to download everything. Okay, download everything and sort it in your own computer by month. Okay, month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I will be removing from the server and the forum on April 1st, the evening of April 1st. So in other words, 9 p.m. East Coast time, my local time. So in other words, just use New York local time. Not that I'm in New York, but it's East Coast time. 9 p.m. on April 1st, month 1 core content, month 2 core content, month 3 core content, month 4 core content, month 5 core content, and month 6 core content will be removed from the server, and it will not be listed in the forum. So you can easily go over to the forum and copy and paste the posts. That way you can see the descriptions of the videos or whatever. That way you can use that in perhaps the title of the videos if you're going to be downloading them and you want to organize them at a later time. You know, it's a lot of work, but I'm not going to have those areas on the forum because I don't want people going to them and saying, yeah, my username and password doesn't work on this video anymore. I'm done with that. Okay, I'm so done with that because usually it's a cookie issue. Okay, and all you have to do is clear your browser history and delete your form data and reboot your computer, and it generally will work, or use a different browser. All right, so anyway, with that said, I appreciate all of you understanding and being in support of me having this rest. But obviously, if you have not watched the YouTube video I posted up on the YouTube channel, that's the last one I'm posting there too, also until April 1st. So the community tab doesn't allow comments or whatever, but the video I just posted today, the video's comment section is open. So I would appreciate it if you see people over the next couple days or weeks or whatever, that they're freaking out, panicking or whatever, and they're saying, why hasn't ICT put a video up or whatever. I'm asking you all, if you would, please gently remind them that it's just me taking the month off, and I'll be resuming on April 1st. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so watch that video. It's real short. Did an execution based on the things I outlined with you all on Friday. I mentioned how it might want to reach up into. Now I'm looking at the micro. Okay, so the micro really isn't any different, as I'll change the chart and show you in a moment. But this fair value gap, I mentioned how we could dig up into that and also in this order block. So I kind of lost myself a little bit in the trade this morning because I know I wanted to put a video up on YouTube to close out the first part of the teachings for that mentorship project I'm doing there. And I forgot that I was talking to them and not you because I was going to comment on the daily order block and the fair value gap that I mentioned, but I don't want to give that level out because I'm not obligated to that group. I'm obligated to you. So this right here with the order block, this was the draw on liquidity, and I felt that 14,220 was more appropriate to share with them because basically it's this candle's low. Okay, if you look at the low of that candle, 14,223. So just round it down to the nearest zero, and it's 220. So that's why I picked it for the YouTube channel. Not bringing their attention up to this fair value gap, as I mentioned last week on the weekend commentary, stating that that gap would probably be traded to. It could be traded into as a draw on liquidity in the order block here. So I have not abandoned the bearishness on this market. I just think that it's digging up into it a little bit deeper, unless proven otherwise. And what would do that? If it trades above this fair value gap and it comes back down and finds some support, then I'm going to elect to start looking for higher price levels than that. But right now, man, there's just too many things going on. And they're trying to frame market sentiment around a lot of it. And as I mentioned in the community tab before the markets opened up last night, that there would be gap or extreme gap risk where, due to Russia being removed from the SWIFT program that allows banks to communicate and whatever, since that was done, it can cause a lot of concern. And that's why I did not trade with a live account today. As I mentioned before, I closed the month of February out. I don't want to risk anything. The example I showed on Friday also was nice because if, for instance, say I would have held that over the weekend, I would have got smashed. So, again, there's things that you're learning. There's things that you need to understand why you don't want to be doing something, and when probabilities are low, when risk is high at elevated levels, and that's kind of like what I'm teaching you here. But with these ideas, let's go down into the 1 minute chart. All right, so here's that price run up here, and it's drawing up into that fair value gap on the daily chart. See that? Now, it does not need to trade there. It's just going to be like the magnet, if you will. It's going to pull price up in there. Now, the order block is the first PD array you come to before you get to that fair value gap. And that's this level in here. That's the body of that candle. Okay, daily bearish order block. So, for those of you in this group, you should recognize this right away. So we have the market trade down, group of candles, and then this separation here with the fair value gap. Keep going over here. We have a balanced price range. So think of it like that island reversal idea I taught. That's essentially what's being done with price action here. We also had this swing high broken. You got to be aggressive to trade with that, but I used this also to confirm it. So this swing high was broken here, and then we retraced down into it. Balanced price range, and look how many times we went lower. 1, 2, 3, 4. This right here, and then snapping above and taking this short-term high out. I'm not worried about these lows over here then. I'm thinking, okay, the only thing we essentially did was revisit this fair value gap here. Let me just copy this. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, good grief. I feel like I'm going on a honeymoon. That's what it feels like for me today. Like I'm really, really excited. Like I'm so excited to spend the next couple weeks just literally unplugged. All right, so this fair value gap here, we traded down. We overshot it. That's fine. We've already made allowances for that volatility. But we came back down and traded into it again. But look what we did. 1, 2, 3 times into it. Broke short-term high. Created a balanced price range. Fair value gap. Swing high broken. Market structure shift bullishly. Buy side here. And let me see. Switch this up a little bit. There's the gap from last week. Gotta be close enough. And I'll put that as blue. That way you'll see the distinctions there. So we're down here. To close the gap is here. Okay, as I was mentioning in the video on YouTube. I said I was thinking about that gap closure, but I was getting ready to start talking about what I talked about with you all on Friday about the bearish order block and that gap on the daily chart, how it could draw up into it, which is that shaded area up here. I'm not teaching that, okay? This is enough for them. Good grief. I mean, they don't need to have anything more than that. I'm not trying to be, stingy or selfish, but, what I'm teaching over there on that YouTube channel is literally gold. Like, it's printing money, every week if you just look for it. So we have the price action model that I'm teaching them over there. Where's the stop run? Like, what lows did it take? It didn't take out that low ICT. Right, look real close here. What is that? Relative equal lows. Stabs down through it, comes right back on up. Hits the fair value gap. Excellent. Hits the fair value gap. And admittedly, I was a little disappointed that I wanted to see it hit this candle here. The high comes in at 65 even, and the low on the return into the fair value gap came in at 65 3/4. So I was 3/4 off on the precision element of it. But the heat on that trade, I got it at 72 even. I could have fancy danced, but I don't want to, again, do more than that's required over there on YouTube. But the low came in at 65.75. My fill was at even on the 72s. So less than 10 handles, which is nice considering the level of volatility that we're at right now. And with competition level leverage. Okay, if you watch the trade, it looks like I'm doing like over 6%, but I adjust the stop and it's around the same 4.5% that I'm looking for when I'm trading competition level. So again, if you're watching this recording or you're watching that example and you're thinking, wow, you're trading 12 micros, like that's basically 2 micros and 1 mini. Right. That's exactly what it is. But if I'm looking at using the AMP futures, that discount broker margin, this trade, or these trades rather, can be weathered by it and still hit my competition level risk parameter. So everything was there. Like this trade couldn't be done obviously with like a World Cup because they're not going to give discount leverage. Okay, the margins are not going to be $200 per micro or mini rather. And to do this type of trade with a discount broker, it would be nothing to do it. It is not enticement for you to go, oh, I'm going to do what he's doing. Don't do that. Okay, all I'm doing is thumbing my nose at the Ninja Trader guys over there with their black box garbage. But if you look at this trade this morning, the level here, that's the closure of the gap. Remember the blue line? That was last Friday's trading rate before they closed. And there was a gap between that and where we started trading at on Sunday last night. So that was the gap risk. And I'll show you that before I close out this video. But I want to get through the details here. And then we have the order block's body, or the opening of the candle. And then we have the fair value gap here. So what I'm doing is I'm using the lowest threshold objective. Because that's all the YouTube mentorship really needs. They don't need to know the business up here or that up there. And frankly, it didn't even go up to the fair value gap. But that was the draw and liquidity could have provided. But that bearish order block on the daily chart, as I mentioned on last week's commentary, came to fruition. Like, just beautiful. So entering right on the candle's low. Well, not the candle's low, but you know what I mean. The lowest candle in the swing. Which I just love doing that. I love it. Lord, forgive me. It's not egotistical. It's just me being appreciative and thankful that I can share this level of precision that you gifted me with. Just so we know where we're at here, okay? It's not me beating my chest. But then it runs up and closes the gap. And I was going to do a partial here, take 6 off and see if I can run to 222. But I didn't want to draw too much attention to it, or as the reasons why or whatever. And one of the persons in the comment section asked, hey, where'd you get your levels from? And I didn't want to be rude, so I just said it's the bearish order block, February 15th. But there's no details about the gap up here also, as I mentioned, which was more of a confidence building draw on liquidity. So there's a lot of things that acted as a premium array to draw price above just simply closing in the gap, because everybody really was expecting just this play here. So I operated with that level of expectation, and that alone would satisfy the majority of the YouTube crowd, because they're familiar with gap closures when there's a real gap from yesterday's trading or last week's trading to Sunday's gap opening, which is always an uncertainty. But I wanted to make sure that everyone knew in the community tab that there was exceedingly more risk possibly entering the market Sunday's opening because of all the things with Russia, and they're punishing their links to other banks and such. And it is what it is. But ultimately it comes up and fails to hit the fair value gap, and this is where we're at right now. Okay, so not a bad little trade. It put on, I don't know what it put on, another $2,600 or whatever it is. I mean, it's nice. It's like 48% in 2 trades. So that's not bad, I guess, huh? All right, let's see here. Let's look at the NASDAQ full futures, because I want to show you that there's really no difference between that and this. I know there's going to be questions like, why aren't you using the full mini contract for your analysis and such? And it's no different, really. I mean, it's just showing you the same stuff. But here's that bear. Let me zoom in. So here's that bearish order block, and here's that fair value gap right in here. So if we look at that there, so the high on that candle comes in at 299, and today's high comes in at 292 and a quarter. So it just falls short of that. Okay, but that's still a draw on liquidity. But then you take it over to the opening on that candle layer, you see we punch into that nicely. The low 223 and a quarter, which is the same price on the micro chart. So there'll be people out there that'll say, if you're going to trade the micro, use the mini contract price chart. Like, I don't think there's any real advantage of doing that. I mean, if you're going to be trading the micro, use the chart that the micro's traded on. You're not splitting hairs here. Okay, it's not required to be that specific, at least in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure eventually someone's going to hear this comment and come back and find an example where this wasn't true. You know how you are. Looking for that one little cookie moment where he said something that didn't work right here. That one instance right here. So anyway, what was I going to do here? NASDAQ. Let's take a quick look at E-mini S&P. I'm so giddy about today being like I literally feel like an employee that has not had a vacation in 4 years, and I'm finally getting one, all inclusive, paid for by someone else. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, I'm 100% so stoked to just literally pour myself over the Word of God and rest and read and just enjoy my family. Like, I just really, 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 really am so excited about it. I know some of you guys don't care about that, but it's important. You got to have balance. All right, so the high on Friday for E-mini S&P comes in at 384 and a quarter. Today's high 385 and a half. So it took out Friday's high. All right, so here is the E-mini S&P. This is a 15-minute time frame, and this is the gap. So from Friday's close, the closing price was at 43.80 and a half, and then we opened at 42.99 and a half. So That's a little bit of a pinch. 380. Yeah, it's like 80 handles smashed right from Jump Street, and then went a little bit lower. They took it all the way back up to fill in case you're not really following along with what I mean by gap closure. This is a real gap. Unlike where we have this one passing the candle here. So we have from this candle's high and this candle's low, and the buy side and balance sell side inefficiency. That's a gap because it's continuous price feed and there's no separation because of opens and closings. This is the effect, if you will, of Friday's gap from Sunday's opening. So that's an actual gap. That's a real gap. So there's no trading whatsoever. No sell side offered, no buy side offered. It's an actual gap. So that physical gap, if you will, price will want to trade up in it and close it in. You can look at the bodies of the candle there supporting the idea of that closure there. Yeah, we have that little tail there, or wick. But ultimately, the storyline is that it's going up in there to close this. And once it does it, traders will stay buying in this until we get the gap closure. And generally, what will happen is they'll want to go sell short, and they'll start moving for a retracement that's, in my mind, it's tradable. I mean, you can look at that and see that's a really nice little move. If you look at it on a 1 minute chart with that idea in mind, it's just nice, isn't it? Look, boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. Small little gap in here. Order block that already has delivery up into its fair value gap there. Bearish order block, fair value gap, optimal trade entry with the gap closure. Nice. Really, really nice. But, I'm not trying to do anything more than I already did. And that's the business there. Let's go over to dollar. Let's do a quick rundown on our daily charts. All right, so dollar still monkeying around inside that range between this short-term low and up at the high consequent encroachment of that old weekly gap. I just want to put it on here because you guys are going to probably be confused because I haven't seen it in the chart for a while. But this one little gap here, we extended out in time and said we'd probably eventually drop into that. And it did. It's dropped down to an hourly. Beautiful consequent encroachment. Breaks down. Gap risk. Okay, so from Friday's close, 96.54, and we gap open on Sunday at 97.24. Like that can be painful if you're holding over the weekend. You don't want to be holding over the weekend. Not now. Not probably for a long time. So many things geopolitically, globally, are popping off. Everything I talked about in 2016. In the summer of 2016, before Trump was elected, war was coming. I told you to watch Russia and China. Before it was even mainline news, okay? I told you all these things. I'm not trying to say I'm smart, but when I get an unction, I feel like I'm being told, you would associate it with feeling like a gut feeling to say something or an overwhelming urge. But I believe it's an unction by spirit that tells me to say these things. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not psychic. I'm not claiming to be some kind of prophet. But when I feel like I'm being led to say something, I'm going to say it. And I don't care how I'm ridiculed about it by people that leave the mentorship or share their videos and some goofball puts it out there. And I'm literally laying my heart on my sleeve for anyone that's willing to listen. If I'm wrong, it'll fail, right? But it's not me. So if I'm telling you something and I feel like I'm being led to say it, that's why stuff's panning out. I'm not a quote-unquote insider. I'm not with the CIA. I don't have all those connections. I don't have nothing like that, okay? Sometimes I'll say I'm reading the tea leaves, and I'll say I'm looking at what's going on around the world. Other times when I feel like I got an unction to say it, that's what I'll say. I just feel like I'm being led to say it. There it is. I'm not taking credit for it. I'm not saying I'm smart, because I'm not. I'm just sharing what I believe I'm being led to share with you. So my concern is that some of you have not prepared your houses as you should have. And maybe you should be doing that. I think that China's watching the response with what Russia's doing. And Taiwan will probably be next. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them start moving in there around June, if not sooner, or at least making an attempt to prepare for it. But a lot of things like this can kick off, and nobody's talking about COVID. That just went completely out the back door, and it's left the building. Now everybody's talking about this, which is exactly what they always do. This is always the cleanup procedure. Always. It's the same thing they did when they had the Spanish flu. Study it. Don't take my word for it. But bad stuff's still coming, and you need to prepare for it. All right, so hourly chart came down. Haven't really completely closed in the gap, but it's good enough for them if they want to start ripping it higher. Buy sides here. I'm not interested in being bearish on dollar because I just think that all the stuff that's going on, they're going to push the dollar. They're just going to push it. There's a lot of things that still have to be done. And I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, the dollar's going to collapse. The dollar's going to crash. This, that, and the other thing. The harder they say that, the harder this thing's going to rally. That's all I'm going to say. I see this going above 100 still. Not because of our economics being stronger, but because the Fed's going to use it to keep promoting the idea of it being the reserve currency. All right, you can see the retracement back in, still not getting back down into the close of Friday's trading. I'm going to stay in the daily charts because the video is already starting to get a little too long. All right, so Euro, we have a little bit of a gap in here, so we can come up into that. I don't know when, if it is required at all really at this point, but it could do that and then eventually roll over. But look what they've created. Sell side liquidity pool, buy side liquidity pool. And all the stuff that's going on right now, this is a scenario where we could see something where we get a wild spike up, spike down, or vice versa, spike down, spike up, because the liquidity is building up a lot. So just be mindful of that. Okay, I know a lot of you like to trade the euro, but just, man, I'm just going to say it that way my conscience is clean. Do not trade with live funds during the month of March, period. Okay, that way I know I've said it. You know how I feel about it. And please, while I'm gone, don't send me your wins because it's going to upset me because you took trades. I know you like to share it and all that. I just don't want to see it because that means you didn't listen to me and it could have gone the other way and hurt you. Okay, so there's that. All right, so we have pound dollar trading down into its imbalance in the order blocks there. Beautiful delivery there on Sunday. Nice, really, really nice. From that, we could see it trade up into this SIBI and then roll over to attack the sell side liquidity resting below here. So let me just add my little eyeball. We're watching that right there. I don't like the size of that. That's good. Yeah, that's good. All right, so we're watching that right there. So look for any kind of retracement up in here to set up another wave of selling into that. That's what I would expect. Why would I expect that? Because we had 1, 2, 3 times in failure, and then all the stuff going on with the dollar I mentioned before. So I'm bullish dollar, so that would put pressure on pound, and they would likely take it down to here. All right, let's check crude oil real quick. All right, crude oil did sweep over the $100 barrel, as I mentioned before. I think it could go to 105, 107. I'm not bearish on oil. Gold. Gold's hard right now. Like, it delivered what I was outlining for you on the weekly chart. Remember, I was taking your attention over here as a draw on liquidity. We took out this high, and why is my other line not showing? I'm looking at this thinking, you got it wrong, ICT. It didn't work. But I should have known better to think that, right? Oh, Leslie the Heavy, so arrogant. No, I'm being fun right now. This is how I am at home. I do I do these little, well, I'm getting off. Let me just focus on this. Relative equal highs, that's where I was taking your attention to, and we can go back down into the daily. There you go. So, if the dollar rallies, that's going to be bearish on gold. Now, here is a scenario. Let's say things get really escalated in Ukraine and NATO starts saying, okay, well, you dropped a tactical nuke somewhere. Maybe they did or didn't. Who cares? But the narrative is useful. Then NATO gets involved. Now we have World War III scenarios. That means dollar will go crazy, erratic, but ultimately go higher, and gold could start going limit up. That's a scenario that could pass the future coming weeks, months, or by the end of the year, if things start getting really, really intense. Gold would go up with World War III, that type of scenario, because people would start putting their money there and buying the contracts and such like that. But there won't be a physical trading of gold. So it would be like a real quick run up and then a collapse type thing, because nobody's going to be operating businesses during a World War III scenario where they're dropping bombs and such. And I have been getting this for a couple years now. I literally am expecting them to be reporting on the news that there was a small tactical nuke deployed on U.S. soil. It's like a dream that I'm seeing, like if I had seen it in my sleep, but I'm awake and I keep seeing it all the time. And that, to me, is the only type of thing that's going to scare the living hell out of American populace right now, because they're not scared of COVID anymore. And they're waking up to the tyrannical things that governments, not just in America, but everywhere around the world, they're rolling out. And they're rolling out a health pass. Okay, right now, when everybody's paying attention to Ukraine right now, every state, even Republican states, are passing this health pass. I don't care if you're not a Christian. I'm going to say this. You need to read Revelation chapter 13, because that is what we're seeing rolled out. That's the system. That's the foundation for all of it. You can be an atheist. You can be someone else that has another religion or whatever. All I'm saying is read that chapter and then take a close look at what's going on all around the world, not just in one country, everywhere. They are bringing a system in place that makes it so that way you have to receive a mark. And the word that's used in the Greek is like a needle piercing your skin. And you can't buy or sell. You can't buy anything to eat. You can't buy anything to put into your automobile to drive around. You can't pay the fees to upgrade, or what is it, not upgrade, to renew your license to drive. You can't keep your bank account. You can't buy or sell. You can't run a business. And that's another reason why I'm trying to get done with all the payments, because I don't want to be caught up in something where I can't deal with people's payments, or I can't do transactions with them. So all businesses in my hands that require payments or exchange of money, I'm stopping all that stuff, because I see what's coming, and I don't need the money, but I don't need to be in the system that they're trying to roll out. I'm not going to be in the system. Okay, so yeah, I told you it's going to be some science fiction level stuff, man. And you're going to be going into stores, and unless you have that mark, you won't even be able to get into the areas where the food is, let alone probably the store itself. It sounds crazy, I know, it does, but You remember what I told you back in 2016? Everybody was laughing at me there. I had people quitting this mentorship saying, dude, you're a crackpot. Okay, like I can't tolerate it. Like I can't imagine that. And they email me now and they're like, man, you were right on. I don't reply to them, and I don't want them to feel like I'm saying I told you so. And I'm not saying that here. But if you have been on the fence and you think your area's been exempt and your grocery stores don't have any issues with food and all that stuff, let me explain to you the depths of really what we're entering. You cannot grow produce, food, without fertilizer. Not at the grand scale that needs to be done to produce for the world and countries. You need it. You need the fertilizer. The majority of the fertilizer is not going to be made available. So if they don't have the fertilizer, can they grow the crops? No. Then what happens? Famine. Everybody's still civilized right now because they can go to McDonald's and poison themselves. They can go to the grocery store and get the cheapest steaks. They can get canned goods, peanut butter and jelly, and the creature comforts on that snack aisle with chips and such. They can still get their beer. They can still get their booze. They can still get their recreational drugs. So it feels normal to them. All of that's about to change in the next 6 to 18 months. Bad. Really bad. You control a population when they can't eat. You want to see a degradation of civilization? Famine does that efficiently. You're a law-abiding citizen of your country, like me. I tend to stay on the right side of the yellow line, and occasionally I might go over the speed limit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But for the most part, I'm generally a safe driver. But if there's a emergency scenario, like when my son had a collapse at home, and I literally was on the other side of town, and I ran every red light. I was doing 85 miles an hour in areas that were 40-mile-an-hour zones. I did not care. I did not care that there was somebody walking across the street. I did not care that I was going to get pulled over because I was not going to pull my car over. And by the grace of God, I got there safely. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt anything. But fear of breaking laws and fear of not following the statutes that's placed by governments and such, all those fears and concerns go out the window when you can't eat. And what do you think is going to happen when your general area has a whole lot of folks that don't have anything in their cupboard or their refrigerator? They have no way of getting more of it. How do you think they're going to act? World War Z comes to mind. That's what our government is training our military to do actually right now. Zombies are a code word for people that are completely unruly, and the zombie apocalypse is going to be the folks that cannot eat and or anarchists and are out there going crazy. Don't take my word for it. Just research it. So that's the type of scenario that makes this market go up parabolically. That's the next thing that's going to cause this to go up. Otherwise, it's not going to go up that hard because dollar will be rallying. That's how I see it. That's my interpretation of it. That was a long way around it. Okay, but I just want to give you the details because I would have been thinking about it tonight or over the weekend thinking, man, that last video, I wish I would have said this. So I'm saying everything right now. All right, so what's the next bit of business here? We did crude oil, we did gold, we did indices. Bitcoin. Yes, he's talking about crypto. He's going to convert. No, not. All right, so we have a little bit of an imbalance in here. I don't see this as a go down and come up. I don't see that. So just be mindful of this area here. Everything's rallied this morning because there was no nuclear bomb dropped. I think that's what they were expecting. I think it's coming, but it's going to come probably during the week when everybody like me, we anticipate the bad stuff happening on the weekend so that way the banks don't have a bank run. And if you have not procured yourself some cash at home, you might want to do that. I'm just saying, because I think there's going to be some banking issues coming up. And I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of money in several banks, and I literally have just been placing my trust in God, saying, whatever, I don't live by that. I'm not fed by that. So if it goes to a period where I can't access my own money, whatever, I can fish, I can eat, animals. I don't want to do that, but I can do it. And I can get water. There's plenty of water where I'm at. I have plenty of water filters. I have all those types of things I've been telling you to get yourself. But I think there's going to be an issue where they say the cyber attack has attacked the banking sector. And if you don't have your bank statements printed out, FDIC, if everything comes back online, they pay up to whatever the maximum is for each account. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like $150,000. Don't quote me on it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I think it's $150,000 that they are FDIC insured per account. But if you can't prove how much money you had in your account before the cyber attack happens and takes the banking industry offline, and that's going to cause all kinds of people freaking out. Like, again, the World War Z movie with Brad Pitt where they have the zombies running around. I'm not saying people are going to be running around eating people's flesh and stuff. Don't take me out of context. But just the madness of it all. Let the banking sector collapse and people can't get their money out. They're going to know beyond a shadow of doubt they got robbed then. Because where'd that money go? It didn't just evaporate. They kept it. And I'm not going to be surprised if it happens. I think I'm going to see that in my lifetime. But I'm not sure where I was going with that. Just went on a rant. But looking at Bitcoin, I guess what I was getting at is this. I don't think this is exempt from that. So, I just see this still potentially going up just to set up a new setup to go down. And there it is. It's kind of like following everything else. I mean, everything else has been weaker, so this is weaker. And that, to me, kind of like sells the point that this is really no different than anything else. They don't want to call it fiat, but it's still fake. It's all fake. Every currency is fake. Every single one of them is fake. Period. So if you place your trust in it, at any time, its creators can devalue it. Like, what keeps this thing from going down to $10? Because it could do it like that, and you can't do anything about it. And just as easily, they could reprice this thing to $100,000 like that. What's stopping it? The push of a button, man. That's all it is. So I don't see this thing going higher. I see it range bounding and working slowly, eroding, going down. That's kind of like what I see. It likes to produce hope in people that love this sector. And honestly, it shouldn't have went where it went here if it was going to go higher. It didn't need to. All it needed to do was rebalance the order block here and then rally. But because it broke that swing low, broken, we're coming back up into an area of sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. So we're already at institutional order flow entry drill right there. So if I was a crypto Bitcoin trader, I would be looking for shorts soon. That's how I would look at it. Don't take that as trade advice, okay? I'm not interested in this at all. I don't even trust it at all. But I throw it out there because I know some of you in here like to get my opinion on it, and I'm going to be gone for a month or so. That's what I'm looking at. I'll probably see it while we're separated. It probably trades up to 70,000, and I'll be thinking, he can't wait for me to come back and say, you got it wrong, ICT. Thank God he's got it wrong. Some of you in here probably thinking like that. But anyway. All right, so I think we covered all the bases. I beat you up about making sure you download month 1 through 6 core content and the lessons. Let me go into the forum, and I want to show you again real quick how easy it is to get these videos downloaded. say you're in this user group here, okay, and you want to download a video, okay. You go over to the link. Now, this is not for Mac users. Mac users, if you Google how to download a MP4 video from a hyperlink, it'll give you instructions on how to do that. I don't have a Mac. I don't use Mac, so I know some of us in here aren't all PC users. You like to use MacBook and such, and those types of issues. I don't have a lot of responses that I can give you that are helpful. The best thing I can do is tell you to Google it. But there's a procedure to get the Mac approach to what I'm showing you here. But you put your cursor over every individual link that you're going to try to download from the top down, obviously. Let's say you want to download this video. You right-click on your mouse button. Okay, so on your mouse you have your left button and your right button. Your right button, click on your mouse over top the link, and it'll say open link in new tab, open link in new window, open link in incognito window, send link to your device, save link as. Okay, some browsers, some computer users, some, it depends on what you have. Some of them will say save target as. This one here says save link as. You click on that, and it'll tell you where you're going to put your stuff at. So what you want to do is you want to create a folder in your, I'm not going to be clicking around in this because I have things that you're not supposed to see. And it's not Tinder rated. It's just I have user group stuff and I don't want to bleed it out into other user groups. But you have the file name here. And my suggestion to you is this. Don't change these file numbers or file names, because it's just going to be easier for you to remember where they're at. Because if you look at this right here, 022522, that is saying that's the date of the month of February, 02 month, date 25, day of the month, and 22 is the year. Now sometimes in your user group, you'll see me have an underscore here, and there'll be another like suffix number. They're tracking numbers because I have leakers in that group. So I'm using them to find who the leakers are, and then I remove them. Other user groups won't have a suffix after that. That doesn't mean that they aren't being tracked. It just means that user group isn't being tracked. So it's not important to know all that stuff. Just all I'm saying is don't change the file name when you save it. But you save it into a folder. Like if you click on here, create a new folder. And this would be February 2022 commentary. Okay? And when you do that, you're going to click on it there. And if you do this, now you're going to save it into that folder. Done. That's how quick it was. I did more talking than it took to download the video. Now say I wanted to do another one above it. I'm going to do a few of them to show you just how fast it is. It's in the February folder. Yes. Click save. Ready? Done. Next one. But ICT, I have a life. I don't want to do this. Then you won't have the videos. Because I told everybody to download them. I told you all to download them as you were getting them. I mentioned it at the beginning of the 2021 group. I mentioned it all throughout the months of 2021. Download the videos, okay? And you just do this, preferably top down. I'm just doing it backwards. So you can see it's not hard. Like you can literally be doing this while you're watching your TV show. Done. That one's done. Right click, save link as, save. Probably hear my stomach growling. I have not ate yet. I apologize for that. So this one's still downloading here, and this one's downloading here. And you're doing this for core content month 1, the 8 lessons at the top of the section in the video area for core content month 1. And then you're going to do it for the commentary videos underneath the core content lessons. So it's 8 videos of the lessons and then those individual commentaries. You're going to do that for months 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And have that done by April 1st at 9 p.m. New York local time. If you do, now look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 videos were downloaded in just a few minutes. If you do 2 or 3 of them in a week, like choose one day of the week where you're going to say, okay, for this 30-minute time period on this particular day, I'm going to sit in there and I'm going to download month 1 content. And then that's it. The next day, you say, okay, for the next 30 minutes, instead of trading, instead of looking at your charts or studying videos, you're going to make time to go in and download them. You can download the entire month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 individually in less than 30 minutes. Like, it's not that long, folks. But you have to do it because they're going to go away. And I'm forcing you to get them downloaded because June 1st, 9 p.m. June 1st, there is absolutely no server access or hosting on any ICT Mentorship video. They're not going to be there. And we will all be only communicating inside the forum. And I'll be posting charts and commentary and answering questions and such. And it'll be a real community. Okay? And your time will be a lot more efficiently spent studying with me. And mine will be absolutely more efficiently spent. So I showed you how to download them. I showed you how to set up another. Oh, real quick. Let's say you're in another month. Like say you're looking at January. Okay. And now you want to start downloading the videos for January. Go to the top of the page. Go to the first link. Hover over top of it. Right button. Click on your mouse. Save link as. Now you don't want to save it in February. You want to go up 1. And then create another month or another folder for January. So you go to folder and you go January 2022 commentary. Okay. Click on it, double click rather, and in this file, see it has a suffix right there, that's a tracker. Then save. Done. That one's done. Now once you have that, and you've done it for one of them, every time you go to a new link and you right click on your mouse, save link as, it's going right into that last folder you worked with. So January 2022, it's going to go right into there. And I'm going to do this one. It ain't hard, folks. It just takes a little bit of time and initiative. Like, you got to do it. If you don't do it, you're going to lose your library. And it's your fault, not mine. I'm telling you, you got ample time to do this. If you've been doing it ever since you got a new video uploaded, you would have already had it all. Sorry, get a rhythm, and you'll blow right through it real quick. I had a guy send me an email. You know what? I shouldn't have to download these videos. Well, maybe you don't have to. You don't really. But if you want to have them, you're going to do it. Because I'm not paying for the money that's required to host it for all these different user groups. And it's just not going to happen. So there you go. The whole month of January 2022 downloaded as soon as this one completes right here. In less than 4 minutes. I'm waiting for it to complete so I can say, see, this is how long it takes you to do one. Obviously, there's a little bit more videos than this when you're doing 8 core content lessons and the daily videos that were done for each one. But that's it. Like, that's all you're doing. And you're going to do it for month 1, core content, all the links. And you would create the folder, name it month 1, core content. And then you would just download all the videos that way. And there it is. So hopefully this has removed all the confusion or doubt as to how to do it. Again, the only concern that I have is that you are a Mac user and there's something that specifically you have to do to get it to drop in a browser and then click a download button. It's a little bit more tedious, I think, for Mac users. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, if it's easier just to go out and buy yourself like a $500 laptop from Best Buy, they're really cheap. You could literally do what I just showed you here, download all the videos and have them. And who cares, if you watch them on your Mac or not. Get them saved to a flash drive, solid state, external hard drive, something to that effect. And then you have it. And then make a backup copy of it. And then put it somewhere safe, and then you have it. Okay? So that's going to be it, folks. I am going to spend some time reading now, enjoying myself, and I'm going to counsel you to be safe over the coming weeks. Don't trade with live funds. Hoping that you'll listen, but I know some of you aren't. And if you get wrecked, don't tell me about it. Just stay quiet about it because I'm not going to be able to help you. And I don't want to hear about it because this is going to upset me, both in anger and in sorrow because you didn't listen to me. There's a lot of risk right now, folks. Lots and lots of risk. And if you don't respect that level of risk, it could really ruin you and completely derail you, more time than you can have to recuperate from it, given all the hardships that everybody's got right now. So with that, my friends, I'm going to close this and wish you all a very, very pleasant day, evening, and a pleasant March. I'll talk to you on April 1st.